Now, Prince Harry is reportedly very sad that Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet are missing out on life with the rest of their family, and that the extensive family network that their cousins are enjoying, well, his children aren't.
When Harry and Meghan left royal life, it was meant to be a unified front. For years, Harry was her strongest protector, but the tide is turning. Reports suggest the man who gave up everything has finally had enough and is ready to walk away. With Meghan reportedly digging her heels in, what was the specific turning point that caused Harry to finally tap out? More importantly, what does this power struggle mean for the kids caught in this high-profile mess? Join us as we get into the details. A marriage at the crossroads. Why insiders claim Harry and Meghan are no longer synchronized. Since 2020, Harry and Meghan have always been in the news, but lately, the stories have turned sour. Insiders are now claiming that Harry is saying he wants out, and those 3 words have sent the rumor mill into overdrive. Some believe the Duke is finally coming to his senses and trying to save what's left of his reputation before the Sussex brand crumbles entirely. Others are going even further, suggesting that a divorce is already being discussed behind closed doors. Either way, this feels like the most dramatic chapter yet in the history of the Sussexes. But what does Harry actually mean when he says he wants out? Is he leaving his wife, his new life, or just the constant drama? Stay tuned, because the details we've uncovered might change everything you think you know. This latest explosion of drama didn't happen in a vacuum. It broke off right on the heels of King Charles's highly anticipated state visit to the United States. Just last month, from April 27th to April 30th, King Charles and Queen Camilla were the guests of honor at the White House, welcomed by President Donald Trump and Melania. It was a historic moment, the 250th anniversary of the nation, and it seemed like the perfect stage for a father-son reunion. But while the king was in Washington, New York, and Virginia, Harry was nowhere to be found. Sources indicate that a meeting was impossible from the start because the trust between Harry and the palace is effectively dead. There are deep-seated fears that if the king sat down with Harry, the details of their private conversation would be leaked before the king even boarded his plane home. Former royal editor Duncan Larcombe pointed out that with trust this damaged, there's almost no chance of an encounter, and experts believe a royal return for Harry is even more unlikely now that Trump has publicly questioned Meghan Markle's role. While his father was performing the duties of a monarch on the East Coast, Harry was spotted looking remarkably casual and very alone in Los Angeles. On May 4th, just days after the king finished his trip, the 41-year-old Duke stepped out for lunch with friends at the celebrity hotspot Nobu. Wearing a simple khaki shirt and dark pants, he slipped on his sunglasses as he left, looking like a man trying to keep a low profile. The interesting part is that Nobu is about an hour and a half away from the Montecito mansion he shares with Meghan and the kids. Why was he so far from home while his father was in the country? Some say he was avoiding the media circus, but others see it as a sign of his growing independence or perhaps his growing isolation. Harry knows the rules of a state visit. He knows every minute of the king's schedule is accounted for, and he didn't even push for a meeting because he knew the answer would be no. But the rift in the royal family isn't just about hurt feelings. It's about how Harry and Meghan are rewriting the royal rules. Since stepping back in 2020, they've been balancing a thin line between charity work and commercial deals. For those inside the palace walls, this overlap is a huge problem. Author Sally Bedell Smith notes that by pushing this half-in, half-out lifestyle, they are making a reconciliation almost impossible. But Harry's side is fighting back, with insiders close to the Duke calling the idea that he's going against Queen Elizabeth's wishes nonsense. They argue that he isn't doing any of this in the name of the monarchy, so he shouldn't be judged by their rules. But when your entire brand is built on your royal title, can you ever truly be independent? This conflict seems to be at the heart of Harry's frustration. As this power struggle intensifies, everyone is asking, What happens to Archie and Lilibet? Prince Archie is now 6, and Princess Lilibet is 4. They are growing up in California, thousands of miles away from their grandfather and their royal heritage. If Harry is truly looking for an exit strategy, the future of these children becomes the biggest question mark of all. If the wants out rumors are true, Harry is facing a choice: stay in a life that feels increasingly commercial and disconnected, or try to find a way back to his roots. Meghan, however, is reportedly digging her heels in. She has built a life in America, and she isn't ready to let go of the vision she has for their future. Is Harry tapping out of the marriage, or is he just exhausted by the fight? The Duke and Duchess are at a crossroads, and for the first time, they don't seem to be reading from the same script. This isn't just about a lunch at Nobu or a missed meeting with the king, it's about the survival of a family caught between two worlds. The Sussex drama is far from over, and the next move might be the one that changes the monarchy forever. Keep watching, because the story behind the headlines is much deeper than it looks. The statement that split a family, how Harry's 2016 defense of Meghan angered Pa and Willie. For anyone who thought the royal rift was just a passing phase, the reality is starting to look a lot more permanent. The word on the street is that Harry has hit a wall, and the unified front we've seen since 2020 is finally crumbling under the weight of years of secrets and sibling rivalry. While the world focuses on the current headlines, the truth is that this collapse has been nearly a decade in the making. It's a slow-motion car crash that started the second Meghan Markle entered the frame, and now we are finally seeing the debris. Harry recently revealed the heartbreaking news that his father, King Charles, isn't even on speaking terms with him anymore. He is more isolated than he's ever been, and if the latest reports are true, he might be looking for an exit strategy from the very life he fought to build in California. But to understand why Harry is allegedly tapping out now, we have to go back to the moment the fuse was lit. It all started back in 2016 when the Sunday Express first broke the news of their relationship. That one headline triggered a media storm that never really stopped. When Harry tried to protect Meghan by releasing a statement through Kensington Palace to stop the racist trolling, he expected his family to have his back. Instead, he says, Pa and Willie were furious. Why? Because by standing up for his girlfriend, Harry made them look bad for never doing the same for their own wives. Right out of the gate, the lines were drawn. By the time they got engaged in 2017, the behind-the-scenes battle shifted to something even more serious: safety. Harry claims a secretive committee decided Meghan wouldn't get police protection, and he had to practically corner them just to get them to see the risk. Then came the Fab Four era. On the outside, they were the fresh faces of the monarchy, but behind closed doors, things were already falling apart. By early 2018, they were already admitting to arguments during joint interviews. The tension reached a breaking point just before the wedding with the infamous bridesmaid dress drama. Harry writes in his book, Spare, that he came home to find Meghan on the floor, sobbing. He tried to play peacekeeper, telling her Kate hadn't meant any harm, but the damage was done. That summer, a clear-the-air meeting at William and Kate's home turned into an explosive confrontation. William reportedly accused Meghan of being rude, and Meghan fired back, telling William to kindly take your finger out of my face. The palace soon split into two rival camps. Staff members were caught in the crossfire, with rumors of people weeping at their desks. William blamed Meghan for the toxic environment, while Harry felt his wife was being bullied by the very institution she had joined. During their tour of Australia, the world saw Meghan as a superstar, but Harry believes that's exactly when royal jealousy kicked in. He suggests the family couldn't handle how good she was at the job, and that's when the hostile stories really started to come out. By late 2018, the Duchess difficult narrative was born, and the press was painting Meghan as a royal diva who couldn't keep staff. For Meghan, this was the point of no return. By early 2019, she says the trolling became almost unsurvivable. In her sit-down with Oprah, she shared the gut-wrenching detail that she didn't want to be alive anymore. But when she turned to the institution for help, she was told no. They said it wouldn't be good for the image of the monarchy. It was a cold, hard rejection that left Harry feeling like he had no choice but to get her out of there. But the exit wasn't clean. Harry alleges that during one argument about Meghan's behavior, William actually got physical, bundling Harry to the ground and into a dog bowl. It was the ultimate betrayal, a brotherly bond shattered over a power struggle that neither side was willing to lose. Fast forward to today, and that same struggle is playing out on a global stage. The King's recent visit to the US served as a reminder of just how deep the divide goes. While Charles was meeting with world leaders and being hosted by Donald Trump at the White House, Harry was lunching at Nobu, an hour and a half away from his own home. There was no meeting, no olive branch, and no reconciliation. The trust is gone. The palace is terrified that any conversation will end up in a new book or a documentary, so the door remains firmly shut. Now, with insiders claiming Harry is tapping out, the question is, what happens to the kids? Prince Archie, 7, and Princess Lilibet, 4, are the true collateral damage in this high-profile mess. They are growing up in a vacuum, disconnected from their grandfather and their royal heritage. If Harry truly wants out of the situation, does that mean a return to the UK alone, or a messy battle over their future? Meghan is reportedly digging her heels in, determined to keep her California lifestyle and her ambitious brand alive. Harry, meanwhile, looks like a man who is exhausted by the fight. He gave up everything for this partnership, but as the tide turns, he might finally be realizing that the cost of freedom was higher than he ever expected. This isn't just a rift anymore. It's a total breakdown of the royal dream. But while the world was watching the dream crumble in real time, the true point of no return was quietly happening behind the scenes, fueled by a series of digital exchanges and raw interviews that turned a private family matter into a global declaration of war. The 72-hour text war, how a moment of vulnerability sparked the final brotherly feud. The slow-motion collapse of the House of Windsor's most prominent brotherhood didn't happen overnight. It was a grueling, public unraveling that turned two brothers into strangers and a son into an exile. By October 2019, the facade finally shattered during the couple's tour of South Africa. It was there that Prince Harry acknowledged the rift for the first time, admitting they were certainly on different paths. In that same ITV interview, Meghan's vulnerability surfaced, as she noted that not many people have asked if I'm okay, signaling a deep isolation behind the palace walls. The emotional toll was visible just weeks later at the Well Child Awards, where Harry teared up on camera, an act of raw emotion that sparked a brutal 72-hour argument with William via text. Looking back in his memoir Spare, Harry realized his worst fear was manifesting. He was becoming a stranger to an older brother who could no longer relate to or even tolerate him. Despite final texts from William claiming he cared deeply, the damage was rooted in a decades-long stress that was finally pouring out. By November 2019, the tension shifted from emotional to competitive. Harry later recounted how the penny dropped for Meghan when they realized their popularity was being viewed as a threat. After an event at Buckingham Palace involving the entire senior family, it was Meghan who dominated the front page of the Sunday Telegraph the next morning. Harry believed this sparked a deep-seated jealousy within the institution. Seeking space, the couple fled to Canada for Thanksgiving, a move that served as the backdrop to their ultimate departure. In January 2020, they dramatically quit as working royals, leading to the infamous Sandringham Summit. Harry sat with the Queen, Charles, and William to thrash out an exit, but the meeting only deepened the divide. Harry accused the family of enabling the press, but William's response was self-focused, complaining about tabloid stories suggesting he was the reason for the split. They were eventually granted a one-year trial period, but the bridge was already burning. The relocation to California in July 2020 didn't quiet the storm. While staying in Los Angeles, Meghan's legal battles against the British press began to pull back the curtain on palace life. Court filings suggested she had been left unprotected by the institution while pregnant, a direct foreshadowing of the bombshells to come. By February 2021, the Queen officially brought the trial period to a halt, stripping Harry of his prized military titles and patronages. This move paved the way for the explosive Oprah Winfrey interview in March 2021, where the world heard the allegation that a royal family member had expressed concerns about how dark Archie's skin might be. The Queen's carefully worded rebuttal, some recollections may vary, became a hallmark of the family's defensive stance, but the personal bond between the brothers was dead. The death of Prince Philip in April 2021 provided a brief window for reconciliation, but the Windsor meeting between Harry, Charles, and William only highlighted the distance. Harry wrote of looking at William and seeing a familiar scowl and an alarming baldness, describing his brother as both a mirror and an arch-nemesis. A year later, at the 2022 Invictus Games, Harry avoided questions about missing his father and brother, focusing entirely on his work. The passing of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022 served as the final tragic chapter of their shared royal life. Even in her final hours, conflict reigned. Harry claimed Charles told him Meghan wasn't welcome at Balmoral, leading to a confrontation where Harry told his father, "Don't ever speak about my wife that way." Harry ultimately found out about the Queen's death through a news article, a brutal testament to his exclusion from the family's inner circle. The release of the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary and the memoir Spare in early 2023 finalized the estrangement. Harry confirmed in a 60 Minutes interview that he was no longer on speaking terms with William and hadn't spoken to Charles for quite a while. In retaliation for the book's revelations, Charles ordered the couple's eviction from Frogmore Cottage, their last physical foothold in the UK. When Charles was diagnosed with cancer in February 2024, Harry rushed to London, yet he was granted less than an hour with his father before the King retreated to Sandringham. By May 2024, the King's other priorities meant he refused to see Harry during the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, a public snub that spoke volumes. Now, in May 2026, the silence is absolute. After losing a high-stakes Court of Appeal case regarding his police protection, Harry has confirmed he is effectively estranged from his father. He has noted the tragedy of the situation, stating that while life is precious and he desires reconciliation, the King refuses to speak to him due to the ongoing legal battles over security. What began as a disagreement over different paths has ended in a total lockout, leaving Harry to lament a relationship lost to a system that prioritizes the crown over the family. But as the King refuses to answer his calls and the gates of the palace remain closed, Harry's thoughts have reportedly drifted away from the cold stone of Windsor to the warm shores of the Indian Ocean. It seems the silence from his father has left a void now being filled by the ghost of a different life. The Mauritius move: why Chelsea Davies' new life in paradise is haunting Prince Harry. While the world watches the Duke and Duchess of Sussex navigate their high-stakes life in California, a much quieter story from Prince Harry's past is reportedly causing a profound internal crisis for the prince. News that his former long-term partner, Chelsea Davies, is relocating her young family to a paradise in Mauritius has allegedly left Harry tormented by regret and unusually reflective. Sources close to the Duke suggest that hearing about Chelsea's calm, uncomplicated life has triggered a wave of turmoil as he grapples with the mounting financial pressures and relentless public scrutiny that define his current marriage to Meghan Markle. Harry is said to be fixated on the stability of Chelsea's choices, allegedly telling confidants that she was the one person who truly understood the madness of his world during their significant 7-year on-off relationship that spanned from 2004 to 2011. The contrast between their lives in May 2026 could not be more stark. While Harry's wedding was a global spectacle, Chelsea recently revealed that she married Sam Cutmore-Scott in a secret ceremony, wearing a dress she bought from a hotel boutique just the day before. Now, she is moving from London to the Indian Ocean to raise her children, Leo and Chloe, in a place she describes as having a deeper world beyond the typical holiday destination. Insiders claim Harry is saddened by this news, as it highlights the road not taken with a woman he was involved with for nearly a decade. He is reportedly wrestling with the feeling that he made a series of irreversible mistakes, trading a partner who escaped the royal trap for a life where every move must be monetized to sustain his and Meghan's California lifestyle. This nostalgia for a simpler past is reportedly becoming an inescapable theme for Harry as his own marriage faces ongoing strain. While Meghan is said to be focused on her desire for celebrity and the expansion of her lifestyle brand, Harry is reportedly overwhelmed by the relentless expectation of their public roles, the very thing he intended to flee when they quit the royal family in 2020. Friends of the Duke claim he is deeply unsettled by the choices that brought him here, looking at Chelsea's peaceful family life as a reminder of the uncomplicated existence he sacrificed. As he watches his former partner build a calm future far from the cameras, Harry is left to face the reality that the fairy tale he was promised in Montecito has become a source of profound private unrest. But while the ghost of a simpler past continues to haunt him, the reality of his present has created a new, more urgent battlefield. Harry's heartbreaking fear for Archie and Lilibet's safety. The friction between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has moved beyond personal disagreements, now centering directly on the future of their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Following Archie's 7th birthday on May 6, 2026, the couple has reportedly been locked in a huge clash over a tradition that has become a breaking point for their conflicting visions of parenthood: the public release of a formal birthday portrait. For young Prince Archie, the aftermath of his birthday has laid bare a tug-of-war between two different lifestyles. Meghan ultimately moved forward with a public tribute, sharing a previously unseen image of a newborn Archie sleeping on Harry's chest and a shot of Archie and Lilibet walking on a beach with their backs to the camera. However, the release was immediately met with criticism over alleged photo editing and brand baiting. Insiders suggest Meghan viewed the milestone as the perfect time to lean into the Sussex brand, particularly following the launch of her signature Archie candle, labeled number 506 in reference to his birth date. Harry, meanwhile, was described as being completely against the public display. Haunted by his own childhood under the unrelenting lens of the paparazzi, the 41-year-old Duke is reportedly desperate to shield his children from the spotlight, fearing that every post puts a target mark on their backs. This conflict places the children at the center of a high-stakes identity crisis. Harry's fears extend beyond mere privacy. He is said to be deeply worried that pushing the lines between their royal status and commercial ventures will lead to Archie and Lilibet losing their titles altogether. As Meghan continues to monetize their new life in California, exemplified by the $64 candles sold under her As Ever brand, Harry is reportedly concerned that the monarchy will see this as a violation of the half-in, half-out boundaries. With Prince William expected to take a hard line on title usage in the future, Harry fears his children will become the ultimate collateral damage of a branding war they never signed up for. The pressure of these different paths was further highlighted by the recent 8th birthday of Archie's cousin, Prince Louis. The contrast is stark. Prince William and Princess Catherine shared a simple, smiling snap of Louis to celebrate his day without a commercial tie-in. For Archie, however, his 7th birthday became a source of parental showdown, reflecting the instability of his parents' current relationship and the relentless expectation that every family moment must be turned into money. While Meghan focuses on building her celebrity empire, Harry appears increasingly isolated and defensive. He recently clapped back at a reporter who questioned his status as a working royal, firmly stating, I will always be part of the royal family. I am here working doing the things that I was born to do. Yet his efforts to maintain a statesman-like role have been met with public dismissal. His recent appearance at the Kyiv Security Forum, where he called on American leadership to honor treaty obligations, was swiftly brushed aside by President Donald Trump. Trump's blunt remark, that he likely has more authority than the prince, only serves to underscore Harry's position as he watches his father, King Charles III, conduct a highly successful state visit to the U.S. without him. Even the couple's attempts at a normal family life are being overshadowed by the machinery of their own fame. A recent viral video of the pair strolling on a beach showed an entourage of security and fans literally walking over a member of the public. While Harry was seen laughing at the situation, the public backlash was immediate, with many calling the display rude and devoid of awareness. For Archie and Lilibet, this environment of intense fame and constant legal battles is the only world they know. They are growing up in a space where one parent is tormented by regret over the simplicity of a life not taken, while the other is determined to turn their very names into a global brand. As Harry grapples with the madness he once sought to escape, his children remain caught in the middle of a fairy tale that has become a source of profound, private unrest. What are your thoughts on Harry and Meghan's relationship? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.